Hello, everyone, and I am doing a presentation on my professional development proposal to implement a professional development plan for Charlotte Mecklenburg Library. The professional development plan that I am proposing to implement to Charlotte Mecklenburg Library is to empower staff to become media literacy educators for our community. So, a little bit of background information. In 2013, Harvard University and UC Berkeley did a study which ranked Charlotte 50 out of 50 in upward mobility. Basically, children being born in poverty, the chances of them actually leaving poverty were very slim. And out of the 50 cities that they looked at, Charlotte was the lowest. So they were the least likely, if you're a child born in poverty, to move out of poverty. So we look at upward mobility has been a huge thing in Charlotte, looking at programs, initiatives that promote upward mobility. It is also pertinent for us to know that one of the things that are beneficial for the community is digital education and media education, because there's opportunities for advancement and education and even jobs when we look at digital education and media literacy education. Another key fact to note for the need of why media literacy is important to educate our community is in 2016, the Keith Lamont Scott shooting that happened. This situation happened in 2006 and it went completely viral online. And the Charlotte community did not realize how impactful social media could be when it comes to activism and social justice. The police department was heavily impacted with releasing tapes, and there was a lot of inaccurate information that was shared through social media that caused a lot of havoc with riots and different situations that played out in Charlotte. So the need to educate our community on the importance of what they're sharing, what they're engaging with on social media, how to engage with it, how to be great digital citizens, has become very key for our community in our current climate in the city. So the main objective is for our organization to become media literacy educators in our community. Okay, so we want Charlotte Mecklenburg Library to train and equip their staff to become media literacy educators so that they can inform and educate our community better in the area of media literacy. In order to do this, a needs assessment or analysis requires to be conducted. The needs analysis here looks at what that process entails for educators to become these media literacy advocates and the gatekeepers of information for the community. So we look at our performance needs. We look at what we need as far as funding. We do know that we do not have a lot of funding in our pool for money when it looks at the budget, but we do know we will need some funding for programming materials and technology. We also will need to assess our bandwidth and make sure the bandwidth and internet connection is up to par for delivering programming, quality programs, and engagement in branches and throughout the community. We will also need digital marketing, online Facebook ads to recruit and inform potential patrons about our media literacy programs. And we definitely need staff to be involved. We need staff that are passionate and interested in our focus area to possess the talents and skills to make sure they bring something to the table in this initiative. As far as training needs, staff development, there will need to be trainings offered through our portal for staff to register for ongoing trainings that you'll learn more about in this proposal. And then also, there needs to be opportunities for trainings in the industry. So when we look at even funding, some of these may cost, some of these external conferences may cost, but we need to have opportunities for staff to attend the National Media Literacy Conference, or trainings in our community, outside of our community, even on a national level, so they become more experts in this field. When we look at the individual needs, there needs to be a clear focus on our goals. We need to have compensation for the individuals if they're taking on extra work to take on these tasks at hand. And also, we need to be able to tap into community connections that our library offers. Okay. So when we start looking at strategies, the strategy that I thought was the most effective for implementing this professional development plan was the job embedded learning strategy. The first strategy in a job embedded learning would be action research teams. So the staff at Charlotte Mecklenburg Library that are selected to be media literacy educators will have the opportunity to become these media literacy specialists, which will be the staff that receive external training. And they're looked at as the experts in the library that actually train media literacy staff that will do workshops in the community. So that group of individuals, that core group of media literacy specialists, will form an action research team. That action research team will host different types of trainings. The first that we're looking at is the first training that we are looking at is the informal ongoing trainings. So I have three things listed that these trainings can provide, these informal trainings can provide for those on the action research team. The first is for them to do an idea of the week, where they're sharing an idea of the week to educators on ideas in media literacy. They're keeping up to date with the trends in the field, and they're sharing ideas that staff can incorporate in their workshops. Second is to contribute to the monthly staff newsletter. So finding information in the field that can be shared and highlighted in our in our monthly staff newsletter, and also posting to the staff intranet or via email new articles that they come across dealing with media literacy. Strategy 2 for job embedded learning would be team teaching. And once again, this will be focused on with that core group of experts in the library that have been determined as media literacy specialists. They will provide team teaching sessions that will include a 30-minute mini training after each monthly staff meeting. They will also host a 2-hour media literacy education training quarterly. So every 3 months, a formal 2-hour training will be held for staff to attend. And then the main training will be our annual all-day staff retreat that focuses on media literacy education, where we invite professionals to come in from the community. Staff get to actually get hands-on learning, and it's a day full of learning in the field of media literacy. The next strategy we're going to look at is coaching that should be implemented, and we're going to look at specifically right now mentor coaching. So those elite staff group, that specific staff group that has been determined as media literacy specialists, will mentor the media literacy educators. So those that are doing the workshops, but they are not looked at as the experts in the field quite yet. And they will be required to mentor 1 or 2 staff members. They will allow the staff mentees to shadow them at 2 media literacy workshops that they conduct in the community. And they will be required to shadow their mentees' first workshop and provide feedback. They will also be required to meet monthly with their mentor for that first year. Strategy 2 is peer coaching. All staff, even media literacy educators, not just media specialists, will be required to shadow a staff member once per quarter. And through that shadowing, they'll give their peers feedback through their shadowing feedback form that you'll learn about more later. So right here, this is the process for coaching that Charlotte Mecklenburg Library will implement to actually create that process of peer coaching. You'll see that it's an ongoing process. So you have observation and discussion that happens. Then you have the analysis that provides more insight from the observation, and then the evaluation that provides the feedback. And then feedback goes into planning to improve, and then the whole process starts over again. So now we're going to look at evaluation. And when we look at evaluation, first, before we go into our evaluation model, I want to align the different strategies with the methods that will be utilized to conduct evaluation. So when we look at job embedded learning, our our methods for looking at that will be documentation from